Head onto the roads this weekend. There is a new team of law enforcement experts ready to be called into action. They're called DREs, or Drug Recognition Experts, DREs. These police officers are trained to recognize impaired drivers under the influence of drugs. Last fall, 20 officers from the Columbus Division of Police, Franklin and Delaware County Sheriff's Offices, and Westerville and Dublin Divisions of Police participated in the intensive training course. And the main goal? To keep you and your family safe. 10 TV's Jason Frazier has the details.
Copy 1944.
Delaware County Sheriff's deputies say they found this car halfway in a ditch on Route 605.
What are you thinking running like that?
I didn't run.
Huh?
I didn't run.
Oh, you didn't run?
Investigators say they suspected the driver lost control of his vehicle because he was under the influence of marijuana. In order to confirm their suspicions, they called in Detective Chuck Gannon, Delaware County's new DRE, or drug recognition expert.
And then we just asked some basic questions like, what have you ate today? What have you drank today? Do you take, medications? Do you see a doctor? Do you see a dentist? Do you wear glasses? Do you wear contacts?
It's part of what he calls the next generation of policing. Instead of waiting on lab results to determine if the driver was on drugs,
on your pulse here first, might take me a second.
Gannon relies on a new technique.
With the DRE program, you're able to show the impairment, and you're able to show the impairment now.
Between 2010 and 2011, the Ohio State Highway Patrol says OVI arrests were up 53% in Franklin County. The patrol says many of those were drivers under the influence of drugs.
Now, even in your rural communities, you see more of your drug-impaired drivers than what you do your alcohol.
That's why Sergeant Jake Schultz says he's attending the DRE program training.
Are you diabetic or epileptic?
No, sir.
The 3-week training you can see here begins with a review of how well an officer can tell if a suspect is under the influence of alcohol.
We can rule people out if they're not impaired at all. We can rule it if it's a medical impairment. We can rule if the impairment's due to the drugs.
The officers are then taken through a crash course of 7 different drug categories, including depressants like heroin.
Other depressant drugs that fall into that category are like Xanax, Valium, Somas, methamphetamines, things like that. With stimulants, it could be cocaine, it could be amphetamines, it could be methamphetamines, it could be Ritalin, it could be Adderall.
Instructors say that members of law enforcement are taught to look for certain behaviors.
Certain drugs will dilate the pupils. Certain drugs will affect the person's internal clock.
DREs check a person's pulse.
We check their eyes in room light. We check their eyes in near total darkness and in direct light. And while we do that, we also check their nasal area.
Following the test, DREs will be able to determine if a suspect is using a drug and what kind.
A lot of these times they'll tell you, they'll admit to what they're on.
But training for the new officers isn't over. Before DREs hit the streets,
Well, he's hallucinating, but
they head to Arizona. The Maricopa County Jail processes about 900 inmates a day. This provides officers the chance to do hands-on evaluations.
They have to be able to see at least 3 drug categories. Alcohol doesn't count because we see that all the time.
And I can testify about what I did, the tests that I did, the results, the things that we were seeing, to be able to show which categories of drugs that the individuals were on.
How you doing, sir? In Delaware County, Gannon continues to patrol the streets, prepared to detect and apprehend drug-impaired drivers. Jason Frazier, 10 TV News.
And the cost of the DRE training is covered by